Hello and welcome to Ivy Education. This is a low budget UK profile by a qualified teacher with some felt tip pens, and I am here to spread some love for apostrophes. Today we are looking at apostrophes to show belonging. So the rule is, first of all, you put the owner's name and then you put the apostrophe. You then think about it and question, does it sound right? If not, you add an S, and it really is as simple as that. Let's look at some examples together. So the first example is Elizabeth Gibbon's theory identifies ... and you'd carry on with your sentence there. Now here it's showing belonging because the theory belongs to Elizabeth Gibbons, so we know that we're going to need to use an apostrophe to show that belonging. Now Elizabeth Gibbons has got a slightly trickier name because it naturally ends with an S, and I think some people see that and they worry about it and they think it will have an effect on where the apostrophe goes. But actually, if you just follow the rule, you'll be absolutely fine. So the rule is you put the owner's name, in this instance Elizabeth Gibbons, then you put the apostrophe, and then you think to yourself, does it sound right? If not, add an S. Now you can see from what I've written down in front of you, I've just written Elizabeth Gibbons apostrophe theory identifies ... That's fine, that is a correct answer. But here's the thing, there is another correct answer. You could have written Elizabeth Gibbons's theory identifies. All I've done there is I've put her name, Elizabeth Gibbons, I've put the apostrophe, and then I've decided actually it sounds good to have an S after the apostrophe. So it's up to you. It's up to you whether you think it sounds best to say Elizabeth Gibbons' theory identifies or to say Elizabeth Gibbons's theory identifies. Quite exciting, isn't it? You get the choice. Both are correct. The next example, it's important that you notice that there are 4 stick men or stick figures, because that helps us to identify that when the sentence says the students' classes were taught online, we're actually talking about more than one student. So we know that it's showing belonging because the classes belong to the students. So we make sure we put down the owner's name, the students, with your S to show it's plural, show there's more than one. Then you put your apostrophe. Then you think to yourself, does it sound right to add an S? If you don't, it's the students' classes were taught online. And if you do, it's the students' classes were taught online. And frankly, I don't think that sounds right, so I wouldn't go with that. So in this instance, it's correct to put the students' apostrophe classes were taught online. Let's look at the final example. You can probably see in the bottom right hand corner there's a little yellow person with an orange outline, and it's just the one person. So here, where it says the student's submission got a high mark, we know we're just talking about one student. And we know from the sentence that the submission belongs to that one student, so we know we need to show belonging, so we know we need to get an apostrophe in there. So we put down the owner, the student, you then put your apostrophe, you then think to yourself, does it sound right, or do we need to add an S? The student's submission got a high mark? No, not really. The student's submission got a high mark? Yes, that's probably how you'd say it, isn't it? So there you have it. The student, apostrophe S, submission got a high mark. So now is the time to retest your knowledge. If you haven't already had a go at this, please pause this video now so that you can have a go. And as soon as you are ready, you can press play again because I'm about to reveal the answers. Okay, let's analyse this together then. So it's worth having a little look at the image because from that we can see that there are 3 students, and that's important for the context of working out who the owners are. So the first sentence was the students' leotards are purple. Now we know that that applies to more than one student. So we write down the students with your S to show it's plural. We then put an apostrophe. Now it's quite dark, but hopefully you can see that apostrophe sitting nicely after the S. The students' apostrophe leotards are purple. The next sentence is the students' ballet shoes are orange. Now again, if you look at the picture, you will see that only one student has orange ballet shoes. So we're only talking about one student when we're looking at discussing the owner. So we put the student, just one, then the apostrophe, and we think, does that sound right? The student ballet shoes? Well, not really if you're trying to show belonging. So actually it makes perfect sense to add in an S. So the student, apostrophe S, ballet shoes are orange. And then we move down to our final sentence, the students are rehearsing well together. Now this is of course a trick question because this whole video is about apostrophes to show belonging, and this particular sentence does not show belonging. In this instance, the students is just plural. There's nothing there that shows an abbreviation and there's nothing there that shows belonging. So no apostrophes are needed. Okay, let's move on to one more quiz. If you haven't had a go at this already, now is the time to pause this video because I'm about to move on to the answers. Okay, so let's discuss these answers together. So the first sentence was, the class's lesson ran smoothly. Now we know that the lesson belonged to the class, so we need to put in an apostrophe to show that belonging. So we put the class, that's the owner, then the apostrophe, and we think, would it sound right to add an S? The class lesson ran smoothly, or the classes lesson ran smoothly? Actually, I think it sounds better to go with that second option, doesn't it? So we've got the class, that's the owner. We put in an apostrophe, and then we add our S. Let's move on to the next bit. The students performed well, and the teacher's voice could be heard clearly. So the first part there, the students performed well. I hope you didn't get tricked out by that one. In this instance, we're just talking about students in the plural, so there's more than one, but we're not discussing anything belonging to those students, and we're not abbreviating, so actually there's no apostrophe needed there. With the next bit, and the teacher's voice could be heard clearly, in most instances, it's just one teacher in a room, and we're certainly only talking about one voice in this instance. So we know that the voice belongs to the teacher, and I think it is safe to assume that the owner is just one teacher. So we put the teacher, we then put in our apostrophe, and then we think, would it sound right to add in an S? The teacher voice could be heard clearly, or the teacher's voice could be heard clearly. Well, it definitely sounds better to have that S in, doesn't it? So there we go, and the teacher apostrophe S, the teacher's, that is, voice could be heard clearly. How did you get on? Let us know about both of your quiz results in the comments. I hope you found this useful. Don't forget to come back tomorrow and don't forget to subscribe. Bye!